Housewarming Day. Precious food is prepared for the very first guests. It's a dish only enjoyed on special days in Korea, Galbi-jjim. The star of the table, it's a special dish that gives joy simply with its presence. A truly precious treat, the center of every housewarming party, Galbi-jjim, braised short ribs. In the foothills of Yeongdong, one couple has begun the second chapter of their life. A year after moving to the countryside, they are finally ready to throw a housewarming party. Nam Woo-hyun and his wife moved back to their hometown after 40 years of living in Seoul. Their first ever harvest of apples and vegetables will fill their table today.
사과 예쁜 거 많이 땄네.
Mi-hwa has been preparing for several days.
오늘 집들이 겸 여러 가지 동네 사람들 초청해서 점심이라도 함께 먹고 같이 먹기 위해서 준비하고 있어요.
In Korea, where agriculture developed early, a new house meant a new long-time addition to the community. Houses hold a special meaning here. According to a guide written during the Joseon dynasty, people performed rites before moving into a new house, asking the gods for health and fortune. After moving in, they had a party to share food with their neighbors. The lady of the house does her very best to serve her guests. Once the japchae, another dish for special occasions, is finished, she starts on the Galbi-jjim. Good Galbi-jjim begins with good beef. Hanu's short ribs, ordered by the husband ahead of time, is lightly cooked and washed in cold water. Every household makes Galbi-jjim differently, but every recipe minimizes the sauce to maintain the original flavor of beef. Knife cuts make sure that the meat absorbs the rich sauce evenly. Onions and pears soften the beef and make it sweet. When cooking ribs, it is important to use the right sauce to minimize the greasy texture.
이제 시골에서 새로운 생활을 시작한다는 의미에서 이제 이 귀한 음식을 통해서 동네 사람들하고 또 돈독하게 지내야죠.
Because short ribs are more expensive than meat cuts, they are a rare treat. That's why Galbi-jjim is only served on holidays or other special days. The guests make the long trip. Hands filled with gifts like tissues or detergent for their new neighbors. The housewarming gifts express their good wishes for the couple. It's a happy occasion when new residents invite their friends to see their home and celebrate together. Once the big bowl of Galbi-jjim is served, the party is ready to begin. Up until the 1980s, the struggling economy made it difficult for Koreans to enjoy meat on regular days.
굳이 많이 먹음직스럽다.
beef Galbi-jjim was most precious of all.
옛날에는 소를 한 농가의 재산이기 때문에 잡먹는다는 상상도 못했고 또 귀한 음식이라서 도저히 우리 농촌에서 소를 소고기를 먹는다는 것은 생각도 못했습니다.
그 예전에는 시골에 한갑을 하면 포장 치고서 한 3일씩 한갑을 하면 그때 갈비를 맛볼 수 있고 뭐 특별한 경우 명절이나 뭐 이럴 때 참 맛을 볼 수 있었죠.
People have a lot more today, but Galbi-jjim still remains ingrained as a valuable dish. Korea's agricultural traditions track back to 5000 BC. Taming the land required more than just farmers' hands. The advent of agriculture was what most likely brought cattle to the Korean peninsula. Cattle, which helped plough the land, were important assets for farmers. Crops were central to survival, and cattle were central to growing those crops.
이 소는 한정되어 있고 또는 소는 잡아먹을 수 없다 보니까 우리 민족에게 있어 이 소는 단순한 가축이 아닌 어떤 농가의 어떤 노동력 그리고 우리가 호칭으로 생고라고 해서 한 가족처럼 여겼거든요.
Without cattle, farming was impossible. Whenever an old cow died, the villagers would share the meat. Each cut was cooked differently. The softer parts were grilled, while tougher parts like the ribs were boiled or braised. The short ribs were added to soups or enjoyed braised. The best dish of all was Galbi-jjim.
1800년 말에 나온 시의 전설한 책에 보면 지금의 갈비찜하고는 영 달라요. 갈비에다가 여러 가지 내장, 곱창, 허파, 뭐 이렇게 천엽 같은 이런 것들을 섞어서 넣었고, 그리고 특히 양념이 지금처럼 다양하게 들어가질 않았고 꼭 들어가야 될 양념, 간장, 참기름, 깨소금 정도가 들어갔고요.
The thick, slightly fatty ribs are cleaned and cut. And boiled to bring out the flavor. The boiled ribs are then drained and prepared for braising. This is when soy sauce enters the picture.
갈비찜의 주요 양념인 장은 고구려 시대 3세기경부터 먹어온 것으로 보입니다. 그 고구려 사람들이 지금의 만주인 고구려 땅에서 콩을 재배해서 장을 담궈 먹었고,
The fermented soy sauce brings out the flavor of short ribs. Traditional Galbi-jjim uses as little sauce as possible. The sweet flavor will come from the radish. Unlike modern versions, traditional Galbi-jjim does not include a lot of vegetables. Galbi-jjim requires hard work and time, but it was not always such a rare dish. In the 13th century, Koreans began to create many different recipes with beef. Cattle were slaughtered left and right. To protect these animals so central to farming, Joseon's first king Taejo outlawed the slaughtering of cattle. No one but the king was authorized to kill them, but this was a hard law to enforce. Noblemen had already acquired a taste for beef served at state dinners.
잡는 일은 거의 드물었고 이제 궁중의 임금님에게는 이제 좋은 재료, 예, 이제 소 고기라든지 이제 소 갈비가 이제 진상되었던 것으로 보입니다. 그래서 궁중에서 주로 드시던 갈비찜이 이제 양반가 사대부가로 이제 내려가게 되었고, 아무래도 이제 사대부가나 양반가를 들락날락했던 또 서민들도 네, 그것을 이제 본받아서 또 갈비찜을 해 먹었던 것으로 보여서 궁중에서 양반가로, 양반가에서 서민들로 이어진 것으로 보입니다.
Another place where the delicacy of beef was passed on to the populace was Suwon, and the UNESCO-recognized Hwasong Fortress is at the center of it. Cheongjo, the 22nd king of the Joseon dynasty, often came to Suwon where his father was laid to rest. He gave orders to build the Hwasong Fortress to establish a new city, and in order to secure food for the soldiers who would be stationed there, King Cheongjo distributed land and cattle to local farmers. The cattle were a loan, and the farmers had to pay back one cow every 3 years. Naturally, the number of cattle grew, and Joseon's largest livestock market appeared in Suwon. Another area known for its cattle is Hamyang, Gyeongsang-namdo Province. Home to Jirisan Mountain, Hamyang is often called the birthplace of scholars. True to that history, it's lined with centuries-old houses. Past a row of stone walls stands the former home of Cheongyo-chang, known as one of the greatest scholars of Joseon. This place, where King Gojong's father, Hongseon Daewongun, used to visit for meditation, carries the steadfast virtues of ancient scholars. Each of these houses has a stable. For the Korean elite, cattle were precious assets to be watched at all times. In Hamyang, the rich soil at the foot of Jirisan Mountain was the main source of income. A monument to filial piety stands here, bestowed by the king to one of his lowliest subjects. There was once a scholar living with his blind father. One day, the scholar heard that his father could regain his sight if he ate 1,000 beef livers. The scholar gave up his nobility to become the lowest of commoners, Baekjeong. He gathered 1,000 livers, but he found his path home blocked by heavy flood waters. Just then, the river split in two and allowed him to cross. His father was able to restore his sight. The son sacrificed his title for his ailing father. Without his piety and without cattle, this miracle wouldn't have been possible. Hamyang was the gateway to Jirisan Mountain and a center of transportation. The hub drew both people and livestock. Hamyang farmers have long been known for their cattle. That history lives on today, with cattle farms still filling the area. Cattle allowed farmers to till the land and send their children to school. They were the most precious gifts of all. Farmer No Hui-chol, who inherited his father's cattle farm, honors that history by giving his livestock only the very best.
저 같은 경우는 뭐 무항생제는 기본이고요. 그리고 소가 초식동물이다 보니까 조사료 위주로 키우는데 유황 조사료를 심을 것 같으면 양질의 조사료를 많이 심습니다. 옥수수나 라이라든지 그걸 최대한 많이 확보를 해서 육성기 때 많이 급여합니다.
In autumn, when it's not fit for grazing, the roof is open for ventilation. From summer to winter, they are fed freshly harvested corn grown without any pesticides. For healthy cattle, Huichol chose hard work over convenience. His devotion for the past 2 decades was rewarded last February when his calf was sold at the highest auction price. He continues to commit himself to the integrity of Korean native cattle. Since 2007, beef has been categorized into 10 cuts in Korea, including tenderloin, sirloin, and ribs. Each part is cut differently.
갈비 한 짝에 13대의 갈비대가 있는데 저희가 쓰는 거는 4번째부터 8번째, 8번째까지 4대 정도만 갈비찜용으로 쓰고요. 나머지 부위는 나머지 때는 이제 갈비탕용으로 쓰고 있습니다.
Since long ago, it has been said that one hanu can produce 100 distinct flavors. The beef is subdivided into 120 different cuts, each used in different dishes for various flavors. This was made possible by the traditional Korean skill of balgol, or boning the beef. The process entails separating the bones and meat of a slaughtered cow, keeping the blades straight so that the beef can be cut without damage. The short ribs, a prime part, must be cut to perfection. This process is what allows people to enjoy both meat and bones. In Hamyang, home to good cattle and skilled butchers, there is a street devoted to Kalbi. Its history goes back to 1967. Pae Song-soo, who inherited his Kalbi restaurant from his grandmother and mother, personally cuts his fresh Kalbi. Galbi-jjim is made with short ribs from oxen, which are larger and stout. Anhui Galbi-jjim is particularly known for its size. The ribs are much longer and has more meat. This is why he prepares the ribs himself. The cut ribs are then boiled. He never uses tap water because the treated content affects the taste. The boiling process is essential to eliminating the gamey odor. Song-soo spent 10 years learning the process from his mother.
냄새가 많이 나잖아요, 소는. 특히 누린내. 그거를 잡기 위해서 지하수도 쓰고 초불 이제 삶기, 약간 빗물도 제거하고 불순물도 제거하고 또 찬물에서 살짝 세척한 다음에 담아서 보관을 해야죠. 그러면 내일 아침에 지하수 넣고 삶을 때 어느 정도 냄새가 좀 제거가 된다고 봐야죠.
The prepared ribs spend 15 hours in a freezer, making the meat soft and firmly attached to the bones. It's important for him to draw water every day from the local spring. It was one of his grandmother's principles.
할머니가 이제 어떻게 하는 것만 봤지, 이제 할머니는 저한테 말씀해 주시는 안 했으니까 어머니가 이제 다른 거는 다 몰라도 삶을 때 잘 삶아야 된다고, 육수도 잘 나와야 되고 또 불 조절도 해가면서 삶고 해야 되니까 그런 말씀을 많이 하시죠.
The next morning, Songsu's parents begin their work, boiling ribs from the day before. The restaurant only makes a set amount of kalbi each day. Great beef, great water, and carefully honed skills come together to create kalbi with half a century of history. The boiling step requires careful heat control, which Songsu has not learned yet. After about 2 hours, the beef is boiled to springy perfection. There is still one more important step. The fat is removed piece by hand. The remaining kalbi is chewy yet not greasy, providing only the rich original flavor of beef. Other Galbi-jjim is cooked together with sauce, but here the galbi is braised in stock. To bring out the innate flavor of kalbi, the recipe uses minimum seasoning, which is only added after the meat is fully cooked. Anui Galbi-jjim, cooked with vegetables and a bit of sauce, is a dish between a braise and a stew. It focuses on the beef itself, rather than the sweet sauce. Each dish is the result of hard work. Galbi-jjim is made with the utmost care for the person who will enjoy it.
이 갈비는 또 요리하기도 힘들고 잘못하면 막 질기고 냄새도 나고 이런 거라서 좀 만들기 좀 힘들지만 또 귀한 음식이거든요. 그래서 좀 신경도 많이 써야 되고 또 정성도 들어가야 되고 하니까.
Hansan-do is a small island in the South Sea. Here a family performs rites ahead of their new start. It's a village tradition for anyone building a new house.
다좀들 많이 잡수시오. 여태까지 한 몇십 년을 정들에 살던 집인데 허물고 다 지을 때까지 일하는 사람들이 모두 아무 탈 없고 집이 잘 되시면 좋겠습니다. 조상님들 잘 부탁드립니다. 그래서 여기 고향이 또 땅이 있고 집터가 있고 밭이 있고 하니까 그 이왕 집을 하나 새로 지으려고 그걸 마음 먹어요. 속으로는 할아버지 할머님들 집을 이제 새로 지어가 살 테니까 잘 돌봐주라고 그리 마음속으로 다 하지.
기도하시고.
예.
Connecting with the village locals is central to the process. To help their parents celebrate, the children set a table for the villagers. Of course, Galbi-jjim is on the table.
나물이랑 떡이랑 이렇게 준비하고 또 귀한 날이고 하니까 바닷가에서는 이제 먹기 힘든 고기 이제 갈비찜 해가지고 준비해가지고 드리려고 하고 있습니다.
A small party for a small village.
맛있게 많이 드세요.
Kalbi is especially precious for those living on an island. It makes both the hosts and the guests feel fuller at heart.
맛있게 잡수시고 앞으로는 아주 많이 도와주세요.
There are special foods for special days. At housewarming parties, precious Galbi-jjim is served to guests to bring joy and good luck. It's something truly precious, perfect for special days. It's Galbi-jjim.